This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Songyang City was now in a barren land. Just as Mo Xiaochuan had said, not even a brick could be seen. Everyone's faces were filled with shock. It was hard to imagine what had happened here. So many people, so many powerhouses, but all of them had disappeared. One of them muttered, Songyang City is the #1 shopping center in the world. It has a total of 4 teleportation arrays. All of them were destroyed. If there are any survivors, they should still be flying to the nearest city. Yes, we'll wait for Sir Young Master Yu to investigate and then look for survivors, the other man nodded. Duanmu Yu paced around in the ruins without saying a word. It was as if he was taking a leisurely stroll in the fields. Although the crowd was criticizing him, no one dared to disturb him and followed closely behind him. Among them, Mo Huayuan was the most tormented, and he wanted to rush up and ask him about it. Yes, the residual energy here is the strongest. Let's see if we can find anything. After walking for a while, Duanmu Yu stopped and slowly raised his right hand. A white light flashed between his hands, forming a circular arc in his palm. Rays of light shot out from the white light and landed on the ground not far away, causing explosions to spread. A total of 9 beams of light landed. As the earth trembled, a rhombus mirror rose from where the light landed. It was about the height of 2 people and formed a 9-palace formation. Duanmu Yu's figure was reflected on it. The shadows reflected each other in the 9 mirrors, layer by layer, and revealed countless images. All of you, back off. Don't get in my way, Duanmu Yu said softly. The 10-odd people did not dare to disobey. In that instant, they all retreated, their eyes wide as they watched Duanmu Yu cast his technique. He was the only clairvoyant among the 10 martial emperors. It was said that he could see all the stars in the sky and predict the past and the future. In the eyes of the public, he seemed to be even more mysterious than alchemists. The 9-sided mirror stood tall on the ground. As Duanmu Yu cast a spell into it, the images inside began to change. Each side was different, and what appeared were all sorts of previous images. It was as if they were being rewound, but as time passed, the images became more and more chaotic. Finally, a large number of human figures appeared in one of the mirrors. There were also more than 10 blurry figures fighting. He frowned. The other mirrors also began to show various situations one by one. All of them were what had happened earlier, but they were extremely messy and blurry. Sometimes, it was just a ball of white light, and nothing could be seen clearly. These messages contained such powerful energy. My 9-sided mirror's power is limited after all. The longer I take, the more powerful the energy contained in the information captured, and the harder it is to be accurate. I can't see the faces and origins of most of these people in the pictures. Do I have to use the divine art of deduction? Duanmu Yu frowned. The information in the mirror was too much, too messy, and too blurry. He could only make out a rough idea. Then, he muttered to himself, forget it. I just need to gather the information I want. As for what the saints want, let them find it themselves. There's no need to use a divine art to hurt myself. He closed his eyes slightly, and the information from the mirror continued to flow into his brain, which he quickly analyzed. In the distance, more than a dozen saints were waiting quietly. Only Mo Huayuan kept pacing back and forth, unable to keep his calm. One of the alchemists suddenly raised his head and looked at the round jade plate in the sky, then said worriedly, it's been 6 hours. Does Sir Young Master Yu still have no clues? If we continue to forcefully maintain this passageway, I'm afraid that the jade plate will be destroyed and we won't be able to return. There's no other way. Let's wait a little longer. Gongzi Yu was a person with the title of Tian Yen, and he could see the past and the future. No matter how long it took, he would have to wait. At worst, we can just send a message back and have the other side open up another passage. The alchemist snorted coldly and said, you're really a layman. The space channel in the same area can't be opened twice in several months. Otherwise, the void energy storm will destroy everything. If the jade plate collapses, we'll have to fly back. At that moment, something happened on Duanmuyoyu's side. The light on the 9 mirrors gradually dissipated, as if the end had been announced. The mirrors turned into water screens and shattered in the air, leaving no traces behind. Everyone hurriedly flew over and landed around Duanmuyu. They saw that his face was filled with doubt and contemplation, as if he had fallen into a difficult problem. He was extremely confused by the vague information he had gathered. Lord Gongziyu, do you have any clues about my big brother? Mo Huayuan could not help but ask. Duanmuyoyu glanced at him and said, the information is very jumbled up, so I can't be sure, but I have a feeling that your big brother is not dead. Mo Huayuan was instantly overjoyed. Really? Do you know where my big brother went? Duanmuyoyu was not interested in him and did not reply. He only said, it's almost time. Let's go back. I'll also change my path from the Saint Realm and return to the one color in the sky. Sir young master Yu, can you give us a copy of this information? One of them asked. Duanmuyoyu frowned and said, not interested. This Ing Luo. The man was stunned for a moment. Then, he smiled bitterly. My lord, we followed you out to borrow your power to explore the situation in Songhua City. If we return empty-handed, how are we going to explain it to the higher-ups? This is your own business, Duanmuyu said indifferently. If you need any information, you can investigate it yourself. I only promised Xiao Haiyu to come to Songhua City, but I didn't promise him to help you collect information. This Ing Luo. Everyone was dumbfounded, and they cursed endlessly in their hearts. Your sister. If I don't need your help, I'll ask you to come and die. Everyone was cursing in their hearts, but they didn't dare to say it out loud. They didn't even dare to show a trace of disrespect. One of them smiled bitterly and said, Sir Gongziyu, don't joke with us. If we go back like this, we will really be skinned by the deputy secretary. A joke? Do you think I like to joke around? What does your life and death have to do with me? Duanmuyoyu took a step forward and flew up into the sky. He said indifferently, if you guys aren't leaving, then I'll be leaving first. See you again. Everyone was dumbfounded. The sanctuary had spent so much effort to open up a passage in order to find out what was going on in Songhua City. They did not expect Duanmuyu to not give them any face. Everyone looked at each other and quickly followed. So what if they don't give you face? None of the 10 great martial sovereigns could be offended. Even if they did not give the holy region any face, they could not do anything to them. Fortunately, the passage leading back led directly to the holy region. Now, he could only return and report to the higher-ups as soon as possible so that the people above could think of a way to keep Duanmuyoyu. Mo Huayuan and the other 2 alchemists hurried to the sky first and put away the jade plate. Then, the crowd stepped into the passage one after another. After that, the black space slowly closed, and the whole sky returned to its original state. Just as Duanmuyu and the rest were investigating Songyuyang City, in an extremely hidden place, where the headquarters of Death God Palace was. The figures of Li Yi and the demons gradually appeared, as well as Tang Jia and many other masters from the 4 extreme sect. Li Yi said, everyone, just stay here and cultivate in peace. Although Death God Palace is not strong, it's definitely one of the most difficult sects to find on the continent. Right now, the 4 extreme sect is probably already involved in the whirlpool. Your headquarters is already in trouble. With Lord Father guarding the headquarters, nothing will happen in the short term, but it's hard to say if it will happen in the long run. The most important thing now is for Lord Shang to recover his strength as soon as possible, only then can we have a place to stand. This place is indeed hidden, Tang Jia analyzed. If it weren't for Brother Li leading the way, outsiders would never have found it. I'll have to trouble Brother Li to make a coordinate pointer so that we can carry out all kinds of information gathering and material supply. Li Yi nodded, of course. I've already executed most of the people in Death God Palace. There are only a dozen people in this huge territory, so it's safe and quiet enough. I'll go and instruct my subordinates to arrange everyone's cultivation. You can wait for me in the side hall in the north. That's good, Shang nodded. Our request is simple. Quiet will do. With that, everyone flew to a side hall in the north. Li Yi, on the other hand, let out a long whistle, which was a signal to gather everyone. He then headed into the hall himself. This trip to Songyue Yang City had benefited him a lot. Not only did he obtain all his power, but he had also boarded the 2 big ships of Shang and the 4 Extremes sect, which would be of great help to his future achievements. Under his long roar, more than 10 figures headed towards the main hall. All the freaks in Death God Palace had been killed by him. Those who were left behind were either normal people or had extraordinary strength or were still useful. Li Yi turned into a ray of light and landed on the top of the hall, walking in. The moment he entered, his eyes suddenly narrowed and his body trembled. He stared in shock at the young man in white sitting on the palace master's throne. He had a calm smile on his face as he played with a medallion in his hand. It was the death medallion. Li Yi's face darkened and he asked coldly, "Who is it? You actually dare to sit on Bengong's throne? Are you here to issue a mission? Do you know that you've already committed a capital crime?" Oh. This is getting interesting. The man in white sized Li Yi up and kept nodding with a smile. "You're pretty strong. You're about to become a 9 Heavens martial sovereign. It seems like I didn't come here in vain." Li Yi's heart skipped a beat. The other party was able to see through his cultivation level with a single glance, so it was obvious that his cultivation level was above his. That meant that he was at least a martial sovereign of the 9 Heavens. If it was in the past, he would have been scared out of his wits when he encountered a martial supreme. Hehowever, he was now a man who had seen the world. He first stabilized his emotions and said coldly, "Who are you?" "Me?" The white-robed man chuckled and said, "You can call me Xiaoba. Everyone calls me that. As for who I am, it's not important. What's important is that I'm here under orders. The person who gave the order is the true master of Death God Palace, who is also your future chief." The true master of Death God Palace? The boss? Li Yi's face turned serious as he went on full alert. He sneered, "Are you out of your mind? The true master of Death God Palace is right in front of you. I know it's hard for you to accept this reality, but it's the truth." Lil 8 chuckled. In the past, Brother Yuan's strength was not enough for him to take on heavy responsibilities, and we let him do whatever he wanted. I can't believe that you've managed to take care of him in one fell swoop. That's good, at least I like it. Recently, the chief received the news and asked me to come and see if you are qualified to meet us. Now it seems that you've passed my test. You're qualified to join our level. The vital energy in Li Yi's body began to circulate slowly, and 2 rays of light slowly rose from his hands. He said coldly, "There's a man who painstakingly plucked a basket of plums, and now someone jumped out and said that the plums were his. What do you think will happen to the man who plucked the plums?" "Oh. What will happen?" Lil 8 chuckled, still sitting on the palace master's throne indifferently, looking at him with interest. Li Yi grinned hideously and suddenly shouted, "Of course I'll fuck your mother." The light in his hand turned into palm force and suddenly blasted up. He also realized that the man in white was not weak, and he did not want to win. Instead, he wanted to make a big commotion so that Shang and the others could catch up and easily capture the man. This is interesting. Little Mina was still sitting there, unmoving. The death token in his hand was flipped around, and he threw it out casually. It immediately enlarged in the air, and it emitted an extremely strong golden light. It instantly drowned Li Yi's palm energy, and a spatial power spread out, imprisoning him. Li Yi's expression changed drastically. He did not expect the gap between the two of them to be so great that he could not even take a single blow from the other party. His mind was immediately filled with thoughts as he anxiously tried to think of a solution. "Every token of death is a spatial mystic artifact," Lil 8 said with a faint smile. "It can imprison people. You don't know this, do you? Can we have a good talk now?" Li Yi smiled awkwardly and said, "I was too impulsive. I've already calmed down, so please don't take offense. Little Mina was stunned for a moment, then laughed out loud and said, "You're shameless." Good, good. Being shameless is also a kind of ability. You can also be considered a talent. Our death god Palace only obeys people. With a casual wave of his hand, the token of death returned to his hand and he continued to play with it. Li Yi laughed awkwardly as his palms were covered in cold sweat. He had been completely immobilized by the other party just now, and he had no way of resisting it all. That feeling was terrible. I know what you're thinking, Lilate said with a faint smile. You're hoping to alarm those monsters so they can come and save you, right? It's better for you to give up on that stupid idea in your head. Accepting our orders is an opportunity and honor for you, not a burden. Li Yi's heart was burning with anger, but he still managed to keep his cool. I don't know who the leader is, what orders do you have, and how should I find him? Little Mina nodded and said, not bad. It seems that you're starting to get used to it. As long as you're ambitious enough, you'll know who the top dog is one day. You're not qualified yet. You don't usually need to come to us. When I need you, I'll naturally come to you. As for the first mission, it's for you to kill someone. Death God Palace was an assassin organization to begin with, so Li did not find this mission strange at all. He nonchalantly said, "Who is it?" You should be very familiar with this man, 80 said. His name is Li Yunxiao. Li Yi's body shuddered at the mention of these 3 words, and his eyes immediately spewed fire. He was clearly very unsettled. He gritted his teeth and said, "Why did you kill him? What are the benefits of working for you?" Actually, Chief doesn't mean to kill him. He just wants you to test this person's background, Lil 8 said with a smile. However, considering your current strength, it's simply delusional to kill this person, so I directly gave the order to kill him. In any case, you can't do it. As for the benefits, it's already a great benefit for Yingluo to let you be the person in charge of the Death God Palace's external affairs. Li Yi gritted his teeth in anger and said hatefully, "If I really kill this person, what should I do?" "That's impossible, Chief," Lilate said with a smile. "However, if you really kill him, then he's too trash to be worth the Chief's attention." "Good. Then I'll kill this person for you to see. Go back and tell the Chief that I'll definitely bring Yunxiao's head back." Li Yi said coldly. "Yes, it's good to be confident in completing the mission," said Little Mina with a smile. He casually tossed out an item that landed right in front of Li Yi. "This profound level weapon was given to you by the Chief. This cultivation method's key points is also very suitable for your physique. I hope you work hard and meet our requirements as soon as possible. As for the monster race and the 4 extreme sect, you can continue to work with them. Perhaps you will be able to use them in the future." Li Yi grabbed the 2 items on the ground and they fell into his hands. His eyes widened in shock. The profound artifact sword was emitting a chilling aura that sent chills down his spine. It was a 9th-tier item. As for the jade slip that recorded the cultivation method, when he used his divine sense to explore it, he revealed a look of horror and shock. He raised his head and found that 80 had disappeared. The great hall of Death God Palace became empty. If it wasn't for the item in his hand, he would have thought that everything was an illusion. Li Yi held the profound level weapon and the technique manual in his hands. He paced back and forth in the hall with a gloomy face as he kept thinking and muttered to himself, "From this technique, this person must have some understanding of my past." Furthermore, to be able to obtain the profound ice essentials of martial arts from the Baiming family, his strength was already beyond imagination. Moreover, the location of Death God Palace was indeed an extremely secretive matter, and ordinary people had no way of knowing about it. With Yuan's strength as the palace master, it was indeed not enough. Could it be that what he said was actually true? The true master of this Death God Palace is that person called Chief? Li Yi became a little impetuous, and his breathing became heavy. He muttered to himself, "Forget it. Since I'm still of use to them, they won't do anything to me. Besides, the mission to kill Yunxiao is completely in line with my intention. With their support, not only will the probability of killing Yunxiao increase, but I also don't have to rely entirely on the demons and the Four Extremes sect. In this way, I will have my own trump card when I face them, which is indeed a great thing. Chief, oh chief, just wait for me to astonishingly rise up. Then, I will see your true face. Rays of light shot out from his eyes, and his heroic spirit soared to the sky. The people of Death God Palace had been waiting for a long time outside. With his order, he immediately called everyone into the hall. At the end of the sea of clouds, in the holy city of misty snow. An angry shout suddenly reverberated in the hall. Gong Yang Jingqi's face was full of anger as he said coldly, Duanmu Youyu actually opened up another path in the void tunnel and crossed it. He is really going too far. None of these titled martial sovereigns are reliable. The people below were all silent, not daring to respond. Yuan Gohan's expression was also extremely ugly as he said, it's really a time of trouble. Incidents keep happening. News had just arrived that his starlight soul body had disappeared from the outer realm. The immemorial astral wind that had been blowing for countless years had also disappeared. There were also traces of a battle. More people were being sent to investigate. Gong Yang Jingqi's expression eased slightly, and he said in a serious tone, Yuan Gaohan, don't worry. Tracking down the disappearance of your soul is definitely the most important matter. An expert who could go to the outer realm space was definitely extraordinary. As far as I know, there's no other way to the starry sky outside of the holy region. The intelligence division's chief, Bai Lingwei, said, we've also lost all news of the second batch of law enforcers sent to the eastern region. It seems that something unusual has happened. Gong Yang Zhang said curiously, the matter between the outer space and the merchant union is already unusual enough. How could the holy region have so much energy to manage such a big matter at the same time? Immediately send a message to the Red Moon City and ask them to investigate the matter of the eastern region. They must give me a result. Is there any news from Xiao Haiyu? I just received news that the Four Extreme Sect's headquarters is empty, Bai Lingwei said. Xiao Haiyu is on her way to Myriad Treasure Store's headquarters, and the Merchant Union seems to be dealing with the changes in an emergency. Oh. They all ran away? You've indeed done something wrong. Gong Yang Jingqi's eyes flickered with cold light as he said, I'm afraid that Xiao Haiyu can't handle the Merchant Union alone, so I'll ask Nan Fengxian to come out of seclusion as soon as possible. After all, there's news about the Boat of Promise here, which seems to be related to the Four Extremes sect. He muttered to himself thoughtfully, Noah's ship is not as simple as a transcendent grade profound level weapon. Bai Lingwei nodded. Since young master you can't provide us with any information, we can only think of another way. However, there's a starting point. Since Gongzi you said that there's a high chance that Mo Xiaochuan is still alive, then there's a very high chance that he's still alive. As long as we find Mo Xiaochuan, we'll know everything. Mo Huayuan's body trembled. I'm also worried about Big Brother's comfort. Thank you, Lady Bai Lingwei. He hurriedly said. Yes, that's what I should do. As for that Li Yunxiao you mentioned. This person seems to be related to Lord Wei Qing. I wonder if I can help him. Bai Lingwei frowned. I'm also aware of this matter, Gong Yang Zhang said curiously. In order to avoid the war in Yanwu, Wei Qing did issue an iron order, and even Li Huaqi and Yao Jinliang appeared in the southern region at the same time. As for whether it's related to Li Yunxiao or not, I'll ask him later. I've investigated Yunxiao, Bai Lingwei said. I think he's very mysterious and seems to have a lot of secrets. Moreover, this person was also involved in the fight for Noah's ship on the Demon's Land, and he also had a part in Songwuyang City. I hope this is all just a coincidence, but no matter what, this person must be a key figure. He's indeed very mysterious, Mo Huayuan said. Moreover, he's extremely powerful in both martial arts and sorcery. It's hard to imagine that a young man could have such terrifying strength. I don't think even the four prodigies of the north can compare to him.